So, what do you think about film ratings?
They can be very helpful. They give you a bit of a gauge to know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I don't like all those bloody, gory films unless they have a good purpose.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Catholicism and Coffee. I am Stephen Kaczynski.
I am Beth Kaczynski.
We talk about Catholicism, all things Catholic, and enjoy some great brews. Today we're going to be continuing our Should Catholics series with Should Catholics Watch R-Rated Movies? Now, for some of our friends who are not in the United States, R is restricted for 17 years and older. Unless they have someone watching with them.
Parental consent is allowed.
Yes. So, there's a lot of question as far as that goes. Now, there are some in mostly evangelical circles, but there are some in Catholic circles who will refuse to watch an R-rated film, no matter what it is. And lately, there have been some films that have been R-rated that are considered Christian movies. We had Passion of the Christ.
Yes.
We had Unplanned.
Mm-hmm.
We had Nefarious. Now, you can compare that to some of the secular films, and they have a lot of the similar content, and then they get a PG-13 rating. Now, I don't want to get too conspiratorial around here, but that smells like a conspiracy from the MPAA. I will be talking about them in a minute. So, what are your thoughts on R-rated movies before we...
Well, this is difficult. It's not as straightforward as some of the other things we've discussed, because not all R-rated films are created equal.
No.
And they're not all given the R rating for the same reason. You mentioned Passion of the Christ. Now, there's no cursing in that. There's no nudity, but, well, there is some, I guess, when he's crucified. But it is gory, it is intense, it is violent, and in my opinion deserves an R rating.
It's very violent.
Yes. But I think this is so powerful for anyone who's Christian to actually see, because we did not witness Christ's crucifixion. This may be the closest we come to witnessing what actually happened.
Yeah.
And it shows how powerful art can be. But do we shy away from it just because, a rating it was given because it's graphic and not appropriate for people under 17? Sounds pretty ridiculous to me.
Here's the other thing. And the funny thing is, when Mel Gibson was putting together the film, the director and producer, he actually toned it down. Because there's actually some other elements in there that would be regular, through his research he found that was regular practice.
Yeah.
And he toned it down a bit, if you've studied history at all. So it's quite interesting to think about.
Yeah. And there's plenty of other R-rated films that may have that rating for very good reason. If you're watching a war film and they're trying to be realistic, it makes perfect sense it would have an R rating.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an R-rated war film. We Were Soldiers. I keep going back to Mel Gibson.
It's okay.
That film is brutal. It's set during the Vietnam War. There's reasons for that. Not all... And it's a little gory, because, they have limbs blown off and such, because it's war.
Yes, it's trying to show a realistic slice of life, because do we really want to talk about the horrors of war watered down?
No.
Yeah. But now that's not to say, all R-rated films are okay. Everything that they include has a purpose.
No.
There are some out there that are just graphic for the sake of being graphic. They just want to shock the audience, include a bunch of smut because they can, essentially.
Yeah.
Don't watch those.
You have to take things in context.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're talking about, say, a mob film. Let's talk about a mob film. There are certain ways the mob talked. It would get an R rating.
Yeah.
And it would make sense.
Yes.
Cops, dirty mess. It makes sense. Military films, yeah, they talk like that.
Yeah, but those very smutty, shall I call them rom-coms, do we really need to be watching that? No. You can show romance without showing the smut.
Yeah, there are ways to do it well. As I said, it's all about context.
So, how do we learn about that context?
Well, one of the good things the MPAA, Motion Picture Association, actually did, not that long ago, was they added in their rating, it just didn't, it would simply say rated PG-13, rated PG, rated R. Then they started adding for violence, strong language, nudity, sensuality. Some of those words, some of us may have to look up in the dictionary. But you can, and also on imdb.com, the Internet Movie Database, after a film comes out, there's a Parents Guide tab. And you click on that and you can scroll down and you'll see, and they'll actually say, oh, man and woman kissing. You see a man bare-chested. Multiple shots but minimal blood. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is also very helpful.
Yeah, and that's not just for R-rated films. It's for all films.
It's for all of them.
Yeah.
As long as they have been released. They don't always... sometimes you don't get the day of release. Sometimes you may have to wait a week.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's called being prudent.
It is being prudent. Not a prude. Like some of these folks who
Yes.
refuse to see an R-rated film because it's R-rated.
Yeah. So what do you think about those folks?
I'm going to quote an instructor of mine that I learned while I was in film school. I went to a very Christian school. He said, and I quote, "Christians will take a G-rated lie over an R-rated truth. I have found this more and more as time has gone on." I hope you don't mind me quoting you, Professor Booker.
Yes. So
Brilliant man.
yeah. But on that note, life is not G-rated. At some point, we're all going to come across some ugly things. Hopefully, the number of R-rated things we come across are very limited or non-existent, but we cannot count on that. We may see some very bloody, gross accidents out there. I mean, how many car accidents are there a day, especially where we live?
I've had to live some R-rated truths.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I'm a cancer survivor, so I had to deal with a lot of blood and gore and such. I won't go into it.
Yeah, so let's keep this at least PG rated.
We'll keep it PG rated.
Yeah. And then another thing is the Bible. The Bible is not G-rated.
No.
Sorry to burst your bubble out there.
No, there are parts of it that are what our rating system would call NC-17. Have you read Psalms or Song of Solomon? Woo!
Man, let's just talk about Genesis.
Genesis is pretty brutal too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Fine. If you don't want to see R-rated stuff, throw your Bible away.
Don't throw the Bible away.
But
figuratively,
you just
yes,
can't read the Bible then.
Yeah. And then again, it's like we talked about how film can be used to depict life. Art imitates life. We've heard that before. We've said it before here. If art is going to imitate life, why can't it be genuine? Especially if it's depicting a true story or something based on a true story. Like we talked about a war film. Talked about the crucifixion. I mean, I'd like to see it as true to life as possible, even if that does mean, oh, it needs to have a higher rating.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Now, if you're creating a true story for children, it shouldn't have an R rated.
That would not be wise.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, the MPAA, I've heard this from several different directors throughout time, the MPAA is not the best about giving directors notes of why they give them a certain rating. So they're like, because some of them have complained of like, okay, where's the part where I need to cut out this thing? MPAA is at best consistent. Like, for example, back in 2011, one of my fellow students in class did an excellent presentation on the rating system. And he said, and one of the rules was for a PG-13 film, as far as language goes, for a PG-13 film to go into an R-rated film, you can't use the F word, I won't say it, more than once, and if you do use it one time, you can't use it as a verb. I have seen several PG-13 films that have used it as a verb and they only used it once and they still kept a PG-13 rating. That makes no sense, so they are at best inconsistent. So, take that as you will.
Yeah, I think the rating system is good to be an initial gauge.
Yeah, but the best way is to view it before your kids.
Yes.
For your parents out there.
Yes.
Or if you have more sensitive folks, you have to kind of gauge that amongst yourselves.
As a kid who is 17 but a little more sensitive or who just does not like blood and gore like I do, maybe they're not ready to watch Passion of the Christ yet.
No.
They could have a 14, 15-year-old who's just completely unfazed by violence and blood. That'd be fine.
Yeah, you just have to discern.
Yes.
Like we've said on a lot of these shit Catholics.
Yes. So what's our final verdict?
Not all R-rated films are created equal.
No.
Not all R-rated films are for very good reasons. Not all R-rated films are rated R for bad reasons. So the best thing is to use discernment, to look into the movie, use the MPAA and the IMDb parental tab to help you out. But the best way is to just have some self-awareness.
Yes.
And awareness of someone who may want to take to see the movie or something like that. And actually it's helpful to have that, because then if you go see the movie and you're not like, hey, I did the research, and if it doesn't work out, then that's on them. But definitely look into it. Use discernment, be wise, and sometimes like we do, we just wait for a bit, and if it's a movie we're somewhat interested in, but we know a lot of other people are interested in it, sometimes we wait for their review.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll just go and see it anyway, because not much phases me anymore. So there's that.
So I think there's some R films Catholics should definitely see once they're old enough, once they're mature enough. Passion of the Christ is on that list. I would put Unplanned on that list.
I put Nefarious on that list.
But there are some that obviously you don't go anywhere near it. You don't need to be seeing that. Find something better to take in. Go watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Not R-rated.
Nope.
PG-13. But it's appropriately PG-13.
Yes.
So definitely check those out.
Yes.
Speaking of movies, we have our film course.
Yay.
Don't worry, we only have 2 R-rated films on there, so it's not that bad. And we're very conscious about what films we chose. So definitely check those out. We're running a promo right now.
Yes. So for Lent, the first 40 people to purchase will get 40% off. Any package, any individual lesson, whatever you want to use, you get 40% off. So that's going to give you a nice price for one of our lessons.
Yep. So definitely check that out.
Yes, please do.
We have, I know it's a little bit later in Lent. You can read fast and catch up. We have our Lent devotional, which is on a reduced price right now, if I'm correct.
We reduced the price for the upcoming season of Lent.
Yes. So definitely check that out.
Yes. Lots of scripture in there, some reflections, some journal entries.
Yeah. It's a good book.
It is a good book.
If we do say so ourselves. And also we're just moving along with Catholicism and Coffee. We have a new blog contributor He's brought up one or two posts by the time this thing has been posted. So check out our blog. We've been working hard on that. We've been trying to build that up because it's actually been useful for us. We have, and also he will hopefully be contributing to the show if he hasn't already. So we've got plenty of stuff. Friend of the show, Christopher Chance, awesome guy.
And we've got some projects in the works that we'll be sharing more details about, hopefully very soon.
Yes, we're kind of keeping it under wraps right now because we want to be good and ready to tell you.
Yes.
Like we were talking about our movie course, we kept that under wraps for like, what, 5 months?
It was a while.
So, some good stuff on the horizon.
Yeah.
Don't
Always
worry.
something new around here.
Yes. Don't worry, it's not a new course.
No new course.
Not for now. In the meantime, be bold, be brave, be courageous, enjoy your beverages. God bless.